hockey and university and all that. And like you're saying, Tom, schedules and all that, it was all just right there. It was pretty good. Sitting at a Tim Hortons, flipping through that.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to know what's going on now because I don't know. You got to go and search people's website to find out anything.
Yeah, and then very often they only let you go so far because then they want you to subscribe and so much a month, all that kind of stuff. Doing the same thing here with the actual like with the cable TV
Yeah.
is it's pretty annoying. You have your list of programs that you get, and then you can get this, but you're going to have to buy it. So like an ESPN2, which here carries most of the NHL games, you can get, but you have to buy that. Like it's there and you see it, and it gives you the list of teams that are playing. But when you click on it, it asks you which package you want to buy.
Yeah, yeah, it's like that for so many things. It's
Well, I don't know about American sports pages, but when I was down there, the high school sports got more press than the professional. And I don't know what your experience is, Peter, growing up, but they really publicize the community sports scene. Um, and when I played in Flint, Michigan, you had to go to the end of the sports page before you got to coverage of our team.
Yeah, they would just put in the scores, and then there would be articles for sure.
Yeah.
Some of that was on whomever was doing the actual sports information piece on their end, sending it to the newspaper. The newspaper would necessarily go out of their way to find that, but excuse me, one of the things that our local TV station does that's very nice is one of them, they actually do a high school sports wrap up at least once a week, and
Yeah.
it's all the boys games, girls games, every sport that is in season, and they do little videos and that. So that part's kind of nice that they do promote that, but it's pretty even back and forth with the NHL and that, and college is only going to be the schools that are in Connecticut.
I
Peter,
remember
what about? Go ahead, Tom.
when I played in Sioux City, we eat breakfast at this one place, and there was a bulletin board, and guys would, I don't know exactly how it worked, but they'd put up $5 betting on the high school football game, or whatever game was there. Was the big deal in Sioux City. So the high school sports were huge.
Yeah, when you get to the Midwest, I mean that's it. That's why most of the USHL teams, a little bit more on the East Coast now, but for the most part, they've always been in the Midwest because they're pretty much the only show in town.
Yeah, we were the first year they had the team there. It was like a semi-pro kind of a league. But it
Okay.
morphed, the USHL morphed into a junior league like 15 years later or something like that. I don't know. Because
Yeah.
that was 273. So, but an interesting thing yesterday, like Cassie Campbell helped Jim and I coach last year. So her husband's the GM of the team, the Canadian team in the Spengler Cup. So her daughter didn't make our team, but she practices with us. She just got back from a broken arm or something. So anyway, she wanted to take her skates. So they're in Davos and they're skating outside, and Joe Thornton is out there with them too. And she sent me a little 10-second little video clip of her
Nice.
mini game outside in Davos. So
That's awesome.
That Spengler
yeah.
Cup tournament is special.
How many times did you go there, Wally?
I've been to 3.
Yeah.
We got a gold, silver, and a bronze. First time I went with Andy Murray and George Kingston. Second time with Perry Byrne, and the third time with Newell Brown. And with Perry Byrne, Alan Eagleson brought his son. He was working with Hockey Canada in a sort of an international involvement capacity, and it's a real Davos is an incredible city. Like all the wealthy people in Europe go there for Christmas, and the arena is made of cedar, beautiful wooden building, almost like a cathedral. And the outdoor rink, right outside the main arena, they used to play the Davos Cup there, but now it's just public skating, and it really is quite a wonderful tournament to go to. And they had the results up here. Canada won its first game, and if you don't win your first, you're usually out pretty early. And it's the best club teams in Europe that come there reluctantly, because what professional player wants to go to a hockey tournament on Christmas? And even if it's Davos, I don't know that the other team gets to bring their families, but I know none of our guys did. We got 10 Europeans usually, and we would bring 10 young Canadian players over to fill the roster. And nobody except a guy like Eagleson could bring his family with him. But it was
Yeah,
a
I
good.
have it on the TV right now. They're just before some two European teams are going to play. It's like a Czech and a Slovak team or something.
Yeah. Pretty skilled hockey. And I was just watching the Circle K, the old Max tournament, Tom, yesterday, and I met with Aaron Wilbur. We watched together.
Oh, yeah.
And Aaron's the director of the coaches site. So we spent the whole day sitting in those soft seats at the Perry Cavanaugh Arena up high. And we talked hockey and we watched the games once in a while. But like I mentioned to Peter, the American teams that are here, they're the most skilled. They're the best teams here, even better than our prep school teams. I watched Arizona yesterday, which has 3 ex-NHL players coaching, and
They just had the DeVos Arena on.
they're all very, very good quality teams. So,
Yeah, they
Peter, I got a question about sports in the United States and the degree of respect that it seems to have from the public in general. When Dave King was coaching in Billings, Montana, he told me he felt like a doctor because he was greeted on the street with such respect. He got so much attention, and he brought that to my mind. And I know that sports as a whole in the school system are really accepted, embraced. And here in Canada, it's almost like if you're a jock, you're not one of the elite. Canada. So, what's your take on the difference there?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because you always seem to have that. I don't want to call it conflict, but I guess maybe it's just the occasional difference of opinion between athletics and academics when you're in a school setting. You had, when I was coaching prep school, you had a certain amount of faculty that just embraced the heck out of it and would do whatever they could to help the kids. And you also had a certain amount of faculty that were of the mindset that, and I'm not saying either one's wrong, but you're of the mindset that you're here to get a degree, you're here to get your diploma, and you got to figure it out. So I don't know that that's necessarily a bad approach. I don't think they necessarily all the time handled it in that way. Occasionally trying to make it somewhat adversarial. And culturally it depends too, because they're so sensitive, some of the schools, as to what they want the characteristic, the demographic to be for their campus, that you can skew it pretty heavily, pretty quickly, depending. Like when we were there, the school I worked at and coached at was a little over 300 students when it was packed to the max, and roughly 75 of those were hockey players, be they varsity, JV, or thirds. So it definitely, we needed to be sure we brought in the right individual, because we knew the impact they would have, on the campus overall. But I think if you're successful, regardless of what the sport is and what the season is, you bring something really positive to your campus. And I think that is what gets embraced in terms of what you're talking about, like with Dave King there.
Yeah. Well, when I taught high school here, I found there was sort of two factions. There was the attempt to recruit academic students, and so the high schools here started baccalaureate programs, which were the highest academic standing international programs you could offer, and a very select few could reach that standard, but they took on the baccalaureate academic program to attract students. And there always has been a sense of academia first and sort of sports jocks second class kind of treatment. And I never felt that at my high school because it really depended on the principal. He creates the culture, and his philosophy and the staff he hires embraces the things that they value. And at my school, it was really a blend of arts, sports, life skills in terms of all the automotives and all the academia. We had a baccalaureate program too. So it covered all the bases in terms of really respecting education in a broad manner. And I really appreciated that. And I've always felt there was something special about a student athlete that goes to university and gets a degree, but in the process, plays 4 or 5 years and plays a very high level. And he may not go on, but he's certainly going to move on in life with a secure background and habits in a workplace that sport has taught him. So,
Well, that's what I've seen, Wally.
Yeah.
Is it, all that university coaching I've done and stuff it's incredible how well former players have done in the workplace.
Yeah.
So many of them end up being managers and bosses or starting their own companies. And I think a lot of that's got to do with learning to get along with people and working towards a goal and all that sort of thing that people had. And I think things like drama and dance and all that teach the same thing.
Yeah.
But people that don't get into anything that has discipline and a goal at the end, I think they're at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Just
I agree with that. I mean, I think that I know that with the same thing with the guys that graduated out of my program, the people that I talk to, maybe in finance or whatever, criminal justice, whatever it may be, they specifically said they look to hire athletes just because of what you said, Tom, because they know that they face adversity, they know that they can solve real world problems, they know that they can balance a schedule, they can do all those things. And the other part too is education. A lot of times when people hear the word education, they immediately think of a textbook. And that's not really, in my mind anyway, that's not the definition of education, because there's the interpersonal life skills and all the balancing schedules and things you spoke of. That's really what an education is. And I always used to use the, I guess, lack of a better way to put it, argument that I'm not sure, I haven't checked lately, but I know back then, Stanford University is considered one of the best academic schools in the United States. Stanford University also at the time held the most Division I championships out of any school, yet it was a top academic institution. So they were a shining example that you could do both. And I do remember bringing that up at faculty meetings, and the faculty, some of them just hating that fact because you can't dispute facts, right? It's numbers. You can't dispute numbers. But you can get that balance. And once you get that balance, I mean, life is easier for those kids. Like I see they can morph from one thing to another, right? It's like that person, you're like our sport, hockey. You're on the power play this week. Next week, you're not. You got to figure out a way to deal with it. You know, somebody else gets a promotion. You don't. How can I get a promotion, or how can I get back to where I want to be? So there's so many lessons that athletics teaches, and it doesn't mean, like Wally said, because you're an athlete, it doesn't mean you need someone else to, help you tie your shoes. There are a lot of intelligent people there. You look at the NHL, right? The people that became doctors and other professions after and during their careers.
Up here, Peter, the Major Junior League, they take kids if they're really good. They'll take a 16-year-old. And apparently there's a kid in the Max. I watched him yesterday. Mickey DuPont's kid is 14 years old in the U18 tournament, and he might be the leading scorer on the Edge U18 team. So he's going to get special status like McDavid and all those guys to play major junior sooner than later. And the thing that impresses me the most about the major junior leagues now is all of the players basically complete their education and they still get scholarships from the major junior leagues. And so now, and I don't know when Tom coached, whether they were getting Western Hockey League graduates that were 20, 21 years old. They're starting that late.
That's what they all were at U of C.
Yeah.
They got 1 year for every year they played.
Yeah.
And books and fees.
Yeah. And initially, I think it was a real struggle for them because they weren't academically oriented. But over time now, a lot of those guys maintain really good academic standings, playing major junior. And if you can complete your high school education with a decent average to get into university, playing 80 games a year and being on the road and traveling as much as they did, you have to take into account what every young person does in their lives in terms of their achievement. So I bought 3 copies of a book. I've given one to Tim Bothwell. Tim Bothwell gave one to me. I'm holding it up. It's called Hidden Potential by Adam Grant. And this more or less talks about the people that weren't high in academic standing. They might have been financially less able to afford things, had to hold jobs, and they achieved great things. There's a story in here about an astronaut that got turned away 12 times. He's a Mexican immigrant kid, very bright, but he had to help his family working as they grew up, making a living, and eventually he did become an astronaut. And incredible book. And I'm going to read a quote here because I want to promote this book. Mark Cuban, the Shark Tank investor, owner of the Dallas Mavericks. And he says, this is a book that should be read by parents, leaders, coaches, and every school board member in America. Adam Grant reveals that everything you think about developing potential is wrong. So he speaks to that idea of underestimating, when you get a scholarship, if you make that elite group, you've got to have an average growing up, and some kids, they get through school and they don't achieve until later. So in the book, they talk about it's not what your marks are now, it's what your marks become later. And
Wally, I'm going to interrupt you quick just for a little bit of great minds think alike.
good for you. Good to see it. All right.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great book.
Have you had it for a while?
It was a Christmas gift from my bride. So yeah, just since Christmas. Just started reading.
Well, I've ordered another one, and it's going to hope it comes to my doorway today. I'm going to be giving it to Jordan Fenton. He's the principal of a school, coaches the U18 double A team, and it's intended for teachers. The first chapter, Tom, is about a Harlem chess club in a disadvantaged school that happened to have a real good chess teacher. And the methodology used to teach playing the game and solving problems isn't the typical memorization of routines and patterns created by master chess players over the years. It was really a figure it out kind of group think tactic of those young high school students. Coming from Harlem over a period of 3 or 4 years, they eventually beat all the prep schools, the elite schools, winning the national chess championship. And it talks about the way they worked together, and he did not interfere with their development and their decision making in what they were going to do. And it's really the first chapter of the book, and the most amazing, it's almost, Tom, like in letting them figure it out, letting those great young minds solve the problem that chess masters have memorized from other chess masters over centuries of that sport, I will call it, because it's highly competitive. And if you haven't watched it, there's a Netflix movie. You probably watched it, Peter. She's a chess master that eventually won a world championship. I wish I could think of the title, but
Yeah, it's good.
yeah. But anyway, the tributes in here are many, and I've read it, and it's one of the books that I pay it forward when I give it to people. I don't know how many books you got in your shelves that you'll never look at again, but the one thing I've learned is that if I buy a book, I'm going to give it to somebody, but I'm going to sort of leave a legacy by writing a brief paragraph to the person that I'm giving it to, thanking them for what they do, because the book sort of dovetails with what they're doing in their vocations to make things better. So,
Well,
Because like
the other thing in that,
too.
I'm sorry, I talked over you there, Tom. Go ahead.
The talent code has that same sort of theme
Yeah.
to it. Daniel Coyle,
yeah,
he goes to different successful places all over the world, and he finds consistent kind of themes, and a lot of it's got to do with the teacher or the coach, the culture that they create,
yeah,
and I really enjoyed that book. I met him in Germany at a coaching conference. He was speaking, and interesting guy.
Yeah, one thing in that book, Wally, Hidden Potential, that kind of struck a chord with me was early on too in the book where they're talking about New York did a study over, I think it was over almost a 20-year period, where they took their most experienced teachers and they put them at the younger levels, kindergarten levels,
yeah,
and then they tested those kids in 4th grade. They had higher scores, test scores, than, let's say, the kids that were less experienced teachers. All the way up to 8th grade, same thing. Then following through, they said when they were 25 to 27 years old, they, on the average, had higher paying jobs than those other kids. Try to correlate it all the way back to having the most experienced teachers at the youngest level, which is something that, we've all talked about forever in ice hockey, is getting your best experienced coaches at the youngest levels to create the foundation. So it seemed like there was pretty much a correlation there I saw that could maybe be a good tool to hopefully for me to use when I'm talking to these organizations that I'm dealing with, trying to get them to have their most experienced coaches at the younger levels, because the most experienced coaches tend to want to work with the older kids because they can do the systems and all those other things. And they enjoy it more, I guess, in that sense, but trying to teach them and show them the importance of the more experienced coach at the younger levels to create that foundation.
I saw an example of that last night. The Kraken playing the Flames. This kid that Wally and I coached in 2015, he was a first-year bantam, and he was tiny. He was 5 feet, not 100 pounds, but his dad is a skating coach and a terrific skater, like smooth and had good vision. And he was a really slow mature. So he ended up playing for Regina in the Western League, and he slowly grew to be about 6 feet, 100 and I don't know what he is, 80 pounds or something like that. And he got drafted as a 20-year-old. He got passed by the first two drafts by the Kraken in the second round. And last year he was the rookie on the rookie team in the American League. And last night he was playing for the Kraken. He was on the second power play, and it was his 8th or 9th game. Remember Riker Evans, Wally?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Yeah, he played. It was his 8th or 9th game, and he looked good out there.
Yep.
So that, a lot of people would give up on a kid that, they wouldn't make the bantam in the first place.
In relation to this story, Peter's story about the right age, I was in the Czech Republic with Thomas Pacina. After the Salt Lake City Olympics, we did an exchange. Thomas and I went over there and spent 10 days with one of their pro clubs, and we observed kids in their hockey school, like a academic school for hockey players, at every grade, right from grade 12 right down to kindergarten. And the kindergarten and grade 1 ice times were all like Tom and I, white, gray-haired guys running their stations with such detail. So the most experienced teacher coaches. And I'm watching this session, and an ex-NHL player who had a kid on the ice came over and talked to us. And he said, that guy coached me when I was playing here in the Czech Republic. And now he's still coaching, but coaching kids that age. And I had this conversation, Peter, with Aaron Wilbur of the coaches site, watching the Circle tournament with him yesterday. He made the point. He's got a son that's 4 and 5 years old. He's coaching, and he's coached at the University of British Columbia, high level, but now he's coaching his kid. And we don't know how to teach and coach skills at that young age. So you're absolutely right, Peter. I think I would say if you're going to do anything there, Peter, ask them to find out who are the retired grandpas that still want to do some contribute and stay in the game and feel valued. Let them work with the 4 and 5-year-old kids. I know myself trying to work with coaches at the U15 level and the U18 level, I'm almost aged out to be of any influence with them. But the minor hockey, the U8 and lower, before they get to scratch elite, I think getting a right start with the absolute best, most experienced teachers that you could is very important. It's happened in Europe, I believe. At least it did in the Czech Republic, but I don't know where it's at here. But you're right, Peter. The good young coaches want to go up the ladder and have success on the scoreboard and gain a reputation. And we miss out on ignore the younger children.
Well, they got in Springbank there. That's out west of Calgary, Peter. It's a whole bunch of NHLers live out there. It's kind of, it's close to the mountains and good views and all this. And the kid playing for Ottawa, Sanderson, and there's a whole bunch of them. Anyways, they got their dads coached out there when they were young kids, and Morrison was coaching and all these kids, and they're doing so well because they got such good coaching when they were little kids. And then they moved into Calgary, and they've done well. It's incredible, but none of them were allowed to coach in the AA system and AAA because their kids were playing, which is absolutely crazy. Because, like, if Cassie's daughter makes a team next year, and if I'm coaching, the rules as they are right now wouldn't allow her to be on a coach, which is absolutely crazy. Sometimes these rules, you shoot yourself in the foot with some rules because some problem happened with a parent 15 years ago. So that's how they solved that problem. And but getting the right technique when you're young, then you're practicing the right thing. Otherwise, if you get the wrong technique, then you're practicing, you're getting good at being really bad. Because I see so many kids stick handling with their bottom hand and hands close to their body. And then I see the practices and stations, and they got these people demonstrating exactly how not to do it. I remember my son at this practice when he was like 6, and the guy was teaching them to skate backwards, making a tripod with their stick. So all their weight was on the stick instead of on their skates. And I remember calling them, I said, Jimmy, don't do that. Because it was absolute the worst thing you could possibly teach somebody. So you got to make sure when they, don't say stations are the great thing. Stations with good coaching are a good thing. But boy, if the person manning the stations is teaching the wrong thing, that's what they're learning. So.
Just got a mute here. What's your take in the States? Anti-parent coaches, pro-parent coaches, indifference? What is it?
Well, it depends on like in the town organization, kind of still a little bit what Tom was talking about there. If they can find non-parent coaches, that's the way to go, just because unfortunately it eliminates the issue of favoritism and all of a sudden the coach's kid is getting every other shift as opposed to the other kids that rotate through and things like that. When you're AAA, where they compensate the coaches, it's a little bit different in there. It doesn't matter if you're a parent or not. Like if they could get a parent that has credentials, they like that, because what that does is it attracts better players from other teams to come and want to play for that team. The only problem with that is because that parent moves with their child, is it doesn't last for very long, right? If they're because here everything is at 2-year increments, and then you move up, right? 2 years of mites, 2 years squirts, etc. Then you move up, so it creates issues there, and you begin to see a lot of people. People hop from program to program. It's in search of that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, so to speak. So trying to get organizations to find ways to keep those better coaches in those spots seems to be a problem. And for most of the organizations, seems to be too much work. So they just kind of let it organically be what it is.
Well, I think in Calgary, my biggest concern is what I call ethical coaching. That is coaching for development. And parent coaches, to me, their approach to balancing and developing all the players versus double shifting their own children. That's what the criticism is. Their kid has to be able to be in the top half of the team for him to coach it. And if they do coach it, the thing in my role I have to monitor is everybody gets to play. There's no difference. They earn their roles over the course of the season, whatever age they are, but everybody gets to play and develop. And I think the fear is the complaints that have come from parents overall about kids that made the team maybe shouldn't have. I doubt that because I got caught up in that this year selecting U13 coaches. We had to evaluate the players and the coaches that were going to coach the three teams. And so we knew the players were good enough. We picked the coaches. All of a sudden, the top two coaches decided they couldn't take it, and we had to go down the ladder, picked another two coaches. And the whole idea there is we had evaluated their children good enough to be on the team, and that change created a lot of concern early in the year, and my job was to make sure that coach paid attention to the effort that his daughter was putting in on the ice because she would have been a bubble player making the team. And that's the way it worked out, and everything's working out great now. But it's still precarious because one of the coaches, an ex-NHLer, is very popular. He's coached the same group of kids since they were 8 years old, and now they're at U13, and he has a spring team, and they get used to his coaching style. And if you grow up only experiencing one coach, you're going to have difficulty adapting to another coach.
Well, if that coach adapts and learns, that's a different story. But if he never, if he never adapts and learns things.
Well, I think overall the coaches are good. They're adapting. But I just think your coaching style is different than somebody else's. And if you end up coaching a kid for 4, 5, 6 years, and the parents love you and the kid loves you, it's pretty hard to get them to appreciate the next coach they played for. And I think that's what you have to be careful of. And I always promote the idea of adaptation, learning to play for, work for a different boss. You're going to have different coaching styles. One's going to be vocal, another one's going to be quiet, one's going to be a compete coach and a battle coach versus being a hockey sense coach. And I think all have their merits and their areas of expertise. Make the best of them, but the fear is just adapting to the one coach and not wanting to buy into the other coach because you were comfortable and had success with the previous coach. So as you go up the ladder, I know what you're saying, Peter. They're only going to be there as long as they're a kid. So you might have them in the elite system for 6 years. Jordan Fenton and Tom Malloy are good examples of being in the elite system for 20 years, 30 years. And they've coached their kids in minor hockey, but now his son is coaching with him. And I think that's priceless. And it's amazing how those years of experience still aren't valued by associations and by parents.
Well,
Because
it's similar, Wally, to everybody wants the newest iPhone. Everybody wants
Yeah.
the newest car with all the features, right? Even though older vehicles are, if you talk to a mechanic, way much easier to work on, way fewer issues, way fewer problems, but they all want the most expensive bells and whistles.
Yeah.
It's pretty, to me, it's similar to that, and you just don't appreciate it, and you don't appreciate it until you've lived it. That's, to me, that's always I'm not gonna say frustrating, but the thing that sometimes is frustrating is, how do I get somebody younger to not necessarily think the way I do, but have that bell go off, or that, that light bulb go on, that, you know what, I'm seeing what that experience can bring, right? It's like when, if you have kids and they're doing projects around the house, all of a sudden, the older they get, the smarter you get for some reason.
Yeah.
It seems, but it's just simply they're taking advantage of your experience, and they don't really necessarily realize that that's what they're doing. So trying to get, like, in the hockey, in the coaching world, trying to get those younger coaches to understand that there's value here, because there's nothing like, I'm not, if I go help you out and you're younger, I'm not looking to take over your team. I just want to help.
Yeah.
That's it. Because I've sort of been there, done that. I'm just here to help. So I think that's part of the issue too.
Do you feel that you've made a breakthrough, that they're embracing your support?
I think they like the fact that we're meeting that once a month, that we're having conversations. I'm sending them video clips of different things, trying to prompt them. But again, you're talking town youth hockey, which is the most rudimentary and in some ways purest level that there is. So you're teaching everything. You're trying to teach people who aren't necessarily have all the tools yet. They will, but they don't necessarily have all the tools yet, who are trying to teach the children who don't necessarily have all the tools yet. So trying to get them to think the way that we talk and our conversations lead to has been the biggest challenge.
Tom, I'm watching this Circle K tournament, and I watch your U13 team play, and the improvement of skill in some of those players. You picked a very skilled, smart hockey team, but some of them have been doing, and a number of them on other teams that I know, they have been doing extra skill work, and it's starting to show. They're benefiting from whoever's the head coach and the way they practice, but some of the skill improvement, the edge work, and the puck control that I see on the ice, that one player of yours, Tom, I couldn't recognize her anymore because she's gone from the player battling to make the team to being probably a top two line player. So how much of that is
or what?
work that they do on their own, working with somebody privately over and above this? Is that making that much difference?
Well, there's a couple of my girls that are in the WinSport program.
Yeah.
And a couple in other programs, and I think I just wrote letters of recommendation for 4 of them that want to get into different programs. So that probably a third of them are doing extra stuff.
How are they handling the workload in terms of the extra stuff and the demands that you have to face given your own schedule?
Well, everybody comes to practice and works hard. That's all,
Yeah.
I don't see anybody dogging it out there.
Yeah.
You know, like us, when you're young, you can do all kinds of stuff, right? I remember when I was their age, I was playing bantam, school hockey, and for the men's Knights of Columbus team.
Yeah.
But we didn't practice that much either. It wasn't, you know. And then playing shinny all the time, which was the most fun of all.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think I'm overly sensitive to doing too much, and young people are capable of that. I'm not sure about training, dryland training in season, and whether it's too much or the right stuff. But being on the ice, working on skills does not take a great deal of energy. It takes a great deal of focus. And I think kids love being on the ice and they love playing, and anything they can do extra to help themselves. And I think that's the biggest challenge of some elite parents and their kids playing. Are they willing to put in that time? Because the reality is today, Tom, if you want to get to this level that you're working at, all of those kids have to do extra time. Your time last summer, the 2 weeks you had your ice times that I'm sure you're going to run this summer, that was pivotal in how much those kids improved to go on to the next level. It was 3 ice times a day, a dryland session, a classroom session, and the quality of the skill work you did, the hockey IQ work you did, the shooting off the ice and the outdoor arenas, the hard surface.
Well, gas skating too, to get the proper
Yep.
body posture and all that kind of stuff.
But they did so much, and hockey schools. I don't know of that people run hockey schools like that anymore. I
No,
think
there's not, yeah, they don't, like maybe 2 ice times a day, and they're still standing in line all the time. The
Yeah.
ones I see, anyways.
Yeah.
Or they're in or the stations, but you know that we got that template in our Jasper camp.
Yeah.
We did that 3 times, so 15 ice times in a week.
Yeah.
But they were 1 hour. These ones are 75 minutes because that's all
Yeah.
they rent.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable. The last game they were working. Like I was wondering if they'd be worn out.
No,
They were
you're right. Yeah.
a game day. But that's the shooting thing is Jim's idea.
Yeah.
You know, the shooting, because that's in the girls. That's a weak part of the game for sure.
Yeah.
And we morphed it into doing skills too, like stick handling and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it kind of developed as we went along.
Yeah.
But it's a good template. Just in Jasper, kids would go home and that were they're out there in the country there for all day. And then your session also, was my dad used to call them skull sessions, that the talk about the game and understand it.
Well, I always gauge that classroom session. Um, Kids never fell asleep when I taught school, but in a classroom session like we were doing, there was total focus. Like I never had high school classes that were locked in like those girls to the stuff that I was bringing up and the slides I was showing and the video that I was showing. Um, I'm sure part of that is just their desire to learn and get better, to put in that time. And it takes pretty special parents um, who have to be able to afford to take the time to do that, to get their kids there. It's really demanding,
Oh
but
yeah,
they're all there, and
basically it's 2 months of practice.
yeah,
Like that's 15 is 7.5 weeks of practice,
yeah,
because we do a week. So
yeah,
that's, and you can follow a theme as well.
yeah,
You don't have to train for games. So, it's more focused on skill and game understanding.
yeah.
No, I hope I hope we can do it again this year.
Well, I think people talk to me about doing it. They're gonna go if you offer it, for
Yeah.
sure.
I just have to come up with the money to pay for the ice in advance because that's what they want, eh? So,
And they might be a little more organized at providing what you want when you want than they were last year.
well, yeah, the second week was better
Yeah,
because the guys in that band just took our ice time and they extended our day by an hour and a half because he
Yeah.
just went that I want the ice time at this time and bumped us out of there. But they
Yeah.
didn't do the second week.
yeah. So Tom, are you doing any hockey stuff over the holiday?
Oh, just playing a little bit. I played yesterday. That was the first time since last week. And I'll play tomorrow at noon. I'm not doing any coaching or anything.
You want to go to any of the Macs?
I don't know. I guess I got my grandkids are in town and,
Yeah,
kind of, yeah, what I wanted to do is I want to watch a few of the Flames practices. I haven't seen them practice
yeah,
2 years.
yeah.
Everything shut down in COVID there and I kind of got out of the rhythm of it.
I'd like you to, myself, I'm watching Shaddix.
Yeah.
And when I watched them play a prep school team, it was almost like men against boys. Their speed, their skill level, they not only could beat you one on one at will, they could beat you with playmaking. And I think just for you to see that level of skill that those young men are executing, and then on the other side of the coin, they don't pass. It's all still one on one. There is some nice passes, but there's never two in a row, three in a row, possession. They get to the net and generate chances and battle for the pucks, but that idea of possession and protection and people supporting and timing. I brought this up with Aaron Wilbur yesterday. I said, they're really good, but they have not taken the game to the next level of using the pass to maximize its use in the game.
And that's strange because the NHL, they pass all the time.
Yeah.
They're somebody's 10 feet ahead of him and he gets a puck.
Yeah.
And thinking of that, Huberdeau actually looked like Huberdeau last night.
He did. Yep.
He made about 6, 7. He never gave the puck away like a blind pass he's been doing all year.
Yep.
If he comes on, that'll sure help their team because that's what he set a record for left wingers in the history of the NHL 2 years ago.
He made a pass, rink wide pass, almost a seeing eye pass to the far winger that was unbelievable yesterday. And what impressed me most? He was on for quite a long time late in the game was Connor Zary.
Well, he's smart.
He protects the puck. He sees.
He's hard on that.
Yeah. He may be their best forward right now.
Well, he's almost at. He'll be as good as Gaudreau, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was because they didn't. When they got him, his big deal was he wasn't fast enough. But
Yeah.
he's really worked on his, on his speed that he's just fine out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a smart player.
Yeah.
But it's funny, you see all the 1-on-5 hockey, and I think a lot of it may be to do with the way that all these skills, all these obstacles in practice now. They're going around static obstacles and handling the puck, and you don't look around, right?
Yeah.
You get so you're incredible with the puck.
Yeah.
But you know, a good defenseman, it doesn't matter what you do, right?
Yeah.
With the puck, they just play your body.
Yeah.
And if you can't use give and go is still the best play in the game, in any game, soccer, basketball, hockey, it doesn't matter what.
Yeah.
And it seems to be still a 1-on-5 development model we follow.
Yep, you're right. Listen, Aaron Wilbur's, his son is 5 years old, and I was talking to him about passing.
Yeah.
And I've always, Howie Meeker, when I did my hockey schools, he said up till 8 years old, let the kid be a puck hawk.
No, I agree with that.
And Aaron
That's what
said,
school always said too.
yeah, but here's what Aaron said. He hadn't heard of this under 8 be a puck hog to develop the individual skills. His team and parents have bought into celebrating a completed pass with 4 and 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
They play cross ice hockey, and they're passing the puck, he said, because his fetish is passing. And I said, well, there's an age where you can expect that and demand that. And they're celebrating it now. So the jury's out on it for me, but he's into it and they're doing it and everybody's happy with it. And if you can take the selfishness out of the game, and it's not bad selfishness, it's just if you can pass better sooner, but still carry a puck and be a threat by doing this, I'm all for it. He just talks at that age, scanning. They're still looking.
Well, that's the key is,
Yeah.
do you know what's going on? And you so always said, little kids, the most important thing is themselves as their parents and family. That's what they, and then as you get older, you worry about other things. But part of our program right away, like in a level 0 and level 1, we play games where there has to be 3 passes or this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to skate and handle the puck before you can make successful passes, right? Or you're just kind of getting rid of it.
Yeah.
So I think it's not, you don't teach it. It's, where your emphasis goes to.
Yeah. Listen, yesterday, I don't know how it happened, but Aaron was in town and he phoned me about meeting him at the game. He wanted me to find out a bit more about how his site is growing. And he's definitely created a network of people partnering with the NHL, partnering with Hockey Canada. Like, he has 20,000 coaches that have registered in the site.
Yeah, I've been in a site for years. Last time I saw Aaron was in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
He was at the conference there, and
well, he spoke really highly of your stuff, and he's talked to me about our Sharks calls, and he is going to give me help putting them on Spotify as podcasts.
Yeah.
And
he's also got some. I heard him speaking online about he's having a place where coaches share drills and all this kind of stuff too, on his coach's site.
Now, would you be like, I'd like to set him up with you because you're like me. I'm not looking to make any more money. I just want, like, my site has tons of video on it, clips. Now, lately, the last 5 years have been nothing but Sharks. And he's looking to incorporate that and get it out to 20,000 viewers.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking he should get your stuff out to 20,000 viewers. So
yeah. I've got 15,600 followers right now on my
Well, you would have, this would be 37,000 now. But I just think,
Nice stuff like yours. You have a lot of, you know, with NHL clips and clips of pro and junior teams. If I charge for them, then they'd be getting taken down, right?
yeah,
Because, but they don't mind it. I've gone to pro practices that they're using something I posted 2 days before, because a lot of the stuff I'm posting is from
Yep.
high level people. And
well, Aaron said now they leave it, they accept it. And with him, if it's through his site,
yeah,
it's automatically accepted.
yeah, he's working with the NHL now.
Yeah.
But they've never bothered me over the years because I don't charge for anything.
Yeah. Well, same here.
Yeah.
If I was trying, like the Sharks, I could, and your stuff recently, like all your practices and that stuff, you could sort it into a monetary category.
Yeah.
But it's a bunch of work. And I think you're like me. You only want people to get out and put it to good use.
Yeah. Well, what I've been doing lately is I've been doing like 1 minute clips of my team
Yeah.
doing stuff, because I think maybe coaches can relate to it more than seeing the Finnish under 20 team do it. They see,
Yeah.
you know, it's not perfect because they're kids.
Yeah.
But they're doing it, and they can see that they can actually do these things.
Yeah.
And you know, one group might screw it up all the time, but then another group just will do it perfectly. So, you know.
Well, Tom, I'm going to head out to Chestermere. I've got 10:30 ice, and uh, Carla McLeod is going to come on after a few games, and I'm trying to get a hold of the female audience, CIS female coaches, um, and she's pretty excited about it. She's at home for Christmas, and I tried to talk to her about getting on. I'm really curious about that female pro league and the progress they're getting into, but that'll be something down the road here. And
We should get Cassie too, because now she's resigned from basically everything now, and she's going to be a consultant for that league.
do you still talk to her?
Yeah, well, like yesterday, she sent the video of her and Brooke and Joe Thornton out in the ice. Davos. Like Brooke practices with us. She hasn't been able to because she broke her arm.
Yeah.
But come January, she'll practice. She really wants to make this level next year.
Yeah.
She's training and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, she's got the competitive edge. So, you know, the last game I coached Jim in
Yeah.
midget, we played Thomas's team when he was coaching the Oval.
Yeah.
And she was playing in the game. So that was the last game in midget I coached Jim.
Yeah.
He went to the Edge the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played him 3 times that year.
Yeah.
He didn't play in our team because playing that quadrant teams, all they did is body check all the time. He says that's not preparing us for anything because
Yeah.
we can't do that in our league. So we played more of a hockey game.
Yeah.
And a lot of those kids could have gone to quadrant. They enjoyed playing with ours, and we won a lot. And
Yeah.
I know, like 1 year, 3 of our third line players went for the Royals. They all made it.
Yeah.
They weren't on the top half of our team.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was the last game. But anyways,
Tom, thank you for your time this morning, and we'll see what happens next week. If you've got, if you have a topic in your mind, I know that with Girls Hockey Calgary, they're having those mid-season meetings with parents, and I think they're really critical in my role relative to the doing the right thing, so everybody's on the same page. Like all the teams are really on the same page. There's only one that's having some difficulty, and we'll resolve that at that meeting. But I think the big thing here is the parents respecting what the coaches are doing, because you have one thing in mind, the best interest of the players. And all the coaches that we have, at times the score clock gets in the way and the parent pressure gets cranked up, and the coaches all of a sudden lose the development focus. And my gauge is when people start complaining about ice time because of that, I've got to go and approach them. So I don't know if it's going to last or not, but I know that there's going to be some really important changes happening with girls hockey in the next few years. And
Well, that Ed team that the ex-Oiler coaches, and he's got a girl there. His daughter plays on a line with this girl that averages 3 points a game.
Yeah.
Like she shoots so much harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
And she plays half the game. The two of them play. They work together.
Yeah.
They kind of go around the ice passing to each other.
Yeah.
And then she's the trigger. You know, the other one is the trigger girl. She can put the puck in the net.
Yeah.
And she'd score. You know, she would score AAA midget boys hockey with a shot she's got.
Yeah.
And she's a pretty big girl. So that, you know, that's the only, well, I know, yeah. It's getting to be that coaches are matching lines now a little more.
Yeah.
So rookie defense there that struggles all of a sudden. If we're the visitor, they're out against the top line all the time. We have to change our defensive pairs around.
Yeah.
They can't handle it.
Yeah. You've got to match. Yeah. You've got to be able to match because they're matching.
Yeah. Well, hopefully putting our really young players. She doesn't turn 13 for 2-3 more days.
Yeah.
So she's basically 2 years younger than other players.
Yeah.
Putting her with our best veteran, I think maybe it'll help her, and we'll tell the girl that, you know, your job is to get her to, she's got the skill. It's just all her nerves and that.
Yeah.
To calm down and make the plays, and, you know, hopefully we can go into the playoffs with 6D and not go down to 5 and move her up to forward. But
Yeah.
you know, there's 2 months to try to do that.
Well, looking forward to the start of the season. It's good to have a break now.
Yeah, it was good to have a break. I think people were getting a little burned out because we started last week of August.
Yeah.
It's been going 5 days a week for, 4 months. So it was good.
Okay, Tom, we're going to hop out now. I'm going to shut the recording off, and you have a good holiday and a good new year. Okay.
You too, Wally, and belated happy birthday to you. I put something on Facebook, but
I think I saw it. I've got 2 Facebook channels. I don't know which one is which, but don't tell me. I don't know how it happened, but I enjoy keeping in touch with people that I haven't heard from in years, just knowing they're alive and active. So take care.
you too.
Talk to you later.
Here.